My 21F boyfriend, 25M, admitted to purposely distancing himself from me so I would think something was wrong in our relationship and be manipulated into getting an abortion. My 21F ex boyfriend 25M admitted that he was purposely distancing himself from me so I would think that something was wrong and be manipulated into getting an abortion. Very long story, but I will give a little background. So I broke up with my boyfriend of a year and a half tonight. He is a 25 years old grad student and I'm a 21 years old undergraduate student. Last Sunday the 17th we found out that I'm pregnant. I take birth control but have recently stopped due to terrible symptoms. I didn't think it was possible for me to get pregnant as quickly as I did because I was given false information by my doctor. Neither of us want nor are we capable of raising a baby right now. I have told him in the past that if I ever became pregnant before we were ready I would most likely get an abortion. So easy to say. I grew up in a pretty strict conservative household. My parents are both pro-life and firm on their beliefs. In spite of them being so conservative, they have always been my anchor and never failed to make me feel loved and understood even when they don't agree with my choices. Never thought I would be in this situation, nor could I have fathomed how hard it would be. I'm a highly sensitive person and care very deeply about things. Like I won't kill a spider or a bug I find in my house, I set them free outside. I'm personally pro-choice because I believe that women should be given the freedom to choose what they do or don't do with their bodies. Never seriously thought about what I would do if I ever had to make the choice until now. I'll try and make this long story short. Day one of finding out, my boyfriend handled everything surprisingly well. He didn't really say much other than he would stick by me and we would get through this together. At that time he was already assuming that I was going to abort. I was in shock for the first day or two, so I didn't really think much about it other than cracking an occasional inappropriate joke. Coping mechanism that he and I share. Once I accepted it and really started thinking, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Half of me was being pulled towards abortion while the other half of me just felt so guilty and so dejected for even considering that an option. I didn't understand anything that was going on inside of my brain and I didn't have anyone to talk to besides my best friend, who initially was pretty unsympathetic, which is the exact opposite of what I needed. So I turned to my boyfriend, who I was trying to avoid talking to about the emotional stuff because I didn't want to confuse him. I was feeling so many things at once and I needed help figuring things out. It seemed like the moment I brought up the possibility of not getting an abortion, he'd get defensive and cut me off. At this point I already told him that if I decided to go through with the pregnancy he wouldn't have to be involved whatsoever. I would get a lot of help and support from my friends and family, so I knew that I would be just fine without him. That also seemed to be out of the question for him. The only way to go was to have an abortion, otherwise I'd be making a huge mistake and ruining my life. I felt so alone at this point. I just wanted him to listen and try to understand how I was feeling. I tried to explain to him how hard everything was and that I just needed some time to think. But we weren't communicating very well and he was just being more and more pushy. Tuesday I was so nauseated and fatigued I could barely get out of bed. We didn't talk much because I was asleep most of the day. I also had some alone time to think and do my own research. I decided that I would get an abortion if I could take the abortion pill and be done with it. If I am too far along for the pill, which is very unlikely, I decided that I would go through with the pregnancy and give the baby up for adoption. I tried to talk to my boyfriend about this decision and tried to tell him that I really needed his love and support through all of this because it's probably going to stick with me for the rest of my life. He completely disregarded my feelings and how unbelievably scared I was and refused to listen and kept interrupting me when I was trying to talk to him. I know that he's scared too, especially now that I've told him I won't abort if I can't take the pill. Wednesday I go back home. We live in different cities. I can't quite remember what happened, but it was the hardest day for me. I had to tell my boss what was going on because I needed time off and had to explain to her why. Her reaction, very supportive and helpful, really made me see the severity of what was happening. She was the first person that showed genuine concern and sympathy towards me and offered to help in any way that she could. I started feeling angry towards my boyfriend for making me feel so alone. I was also having a really hard time accepting the fact that I was going to have an abortion. I was flooded with so much shame and guilt and was questioning if it was actually what I wanted or just what my boyfriend wanted. I felt like he was only thinking about himself and pressuring me to have an abortion ASAP, and not offering any type of emotional support from him whatsoever. I understand that it's stressful for him and I tried to look at things from his point of view, but I just don't get it. I'm the one that has to go through the abortion, or if not then I'm the one that will have to be pregnant for 9 months and then go through an excruciating delivery, and then feel the loss of giving my baby away. I'm the one that's going to be living with the repercussions of whatever decision is made, whether he decides to stick by or not. He could so easily just walk away from all of this and never look back. Wednesday night we are talking on the phone and he's still aggressively pushing for me to abort. I feel so overwhelmed during this phone call. I ask him how he would feel about me talking to my parents about everything. I wanted to talk to them because I knew they would know exactly what to say and I just needed them. I asked for his thoughts because I wasn't sure how they would react and whether or not they would try and pressure me to keep it, which they didn't at all. He agreed and said he understood. I won't get too into this part because this is already so long, but the next morning we got into a huge fight. Again, the fight didn't start this way, but somewhere in between he expressed his anger at me for talking to my parents and said that I was just trying to tell on him. Tonight, Saturday, I pretty much had my mind made up that I was going to break up with him. More reasons than one, but the way he handled this situation is not the way I want to be treated by the man who loves me. He made me feel abandoned when I needed him most. It was the last straw, I guess. I called him and asked if he could come over before he left town tomorrow so we could talk in person. He came over immediately. I wanted to stay as civil as possible. The only thing I brought up the entire time was how hurt I was by the way he's made me feel this week. I continued with trying to tell him that I felt alone, and he then interrupts me and says I had my little tricks. I purposely distanced myself from you so you would think something was wrong and be manipulated into getting an abortion. I can't give you my thoughts any further than this because I'm still not sure what to even think right now. But I broke up with him and told him he is off the hook. So now I'm going to have to figure out how to pay for an abortion on my own because my parents would never fund something like that. On top of coping with a breakup, and getting through 18 hours in college, work 30 hours a week, and live with the emotional turmoil and guilt that's going to come for me after my abortion, my question is, am I crazy for being upset for the way he handled the situation, that he had a 50% partake? All I wanted was for him to listen to me. Want to apologize for any grammatical errors. This took me 2 hours to type and I'm too tired to proofread. Thank you in advance for reading everything, or not, and answering. Edit. I didn't mention above, but I wanted to say that I made 2 doctor appointments on Wednesday, one with my doctor and one with PP. Because of COVID you are not allowed to just walk in PP. I have handled this with as much urgency as I can because I don't want to raise a baby any more than he does. I also wanted to mention that me and my boyfriend had several conversations throughout our relationship about what would happen if I got pregnant, and some of time I said I would probably get an abortion and other times I said that I wouldn't be able to get an abortion. We never ever had an agreement that I would get an abortion if I got pregnant. We are both equally responsible for what's happened. We were both careless and irresponsible and now we are both paying for it. I didn't make this post to put the blame on him, I just simply wanted advice about the choice I made to break up with him for the way he treated me this week. I apologize that I didn't really make it clear what I was asking here. Once I started typing it just turned into a rant. Also, my boyfriend was aware that I wasn't taking my birth control. I talked to him before the decision was even made. I'm so sorry you've been put in this position, Op. You are facing a difficult choice, and your ex has decided that rather than be your partner, he's going to look out for himself directly at your expense. You did good in shutting that shit down and getting out before investing more of yourself into such a selfish person. It's okay to feel indecisive with this. The only wrong decision is one that you do not want to make. If abortion is the best option for you, then it is the right choice. If going through with the pregnancy is the best option for you, then it is the right choice. Hope your friend has gotten over whatever that was and is now supporting you, and I'm glad to hear that you can lean on your parents and your boss if needed. Please take care of your mental health right now, and I hope that you are able to let go of the guilt you are feeling soon. You're not crazy. He's an asshole. I'm not sure if this helps or hurts, and please know I'm incredibly pro-choice. My therapist calls these situations picking the path of least harm. You absolutely made the right decision to break up with the manipulative asshole that cared more about himself than even your basic requests. Everything else though is a lose-lose situation. If you're in college, then you can probably get at least a couple free or incredibly reduced therapy appointments. Go and get a professional third-party opinion. You know yourself best. If you want to carry to term and keep it or adopt it out, do that. You said you'd have friends and family support. If you really think you want to abort, then do that. Neither choice is going to feel good or right, but you need to pick the one that will be easiest to live with. You said your parents were really supportive and who you needed to talk to. Maybe they'll surprise you and financially support an abortion. If not, you said your boss was incredibly supportive. Maybe you can get an advance in pay. If not, look for non-profits near you to help. And don't write off collecting from your ex just because he's your ex. This is his responsibility as well. Good luck. I will also add that the vast majority of women who choose an abortion do not regret it. I think that's important to think about. Good luck with whatever you choose. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but thank fuck you escaped that boy. To spiteful, bad-natured boss. I distanced myself so you'd feel pressured into an abortion isn't something normal people do. That's abusive and ridiculously toxic for someone who was going to get what they wanted either way. Things will get easier without the 200-pound millstone around your neck. Remember that you have parents that love and support you that you can lean on, differing opinions or not. Can't forgive my parents. 26M. When I was 17, I told some friends at a party I was gay, and eventually a few months later it somehow got back to my parents, after an old school friend's parent had told my mother that I had come out. My parents immediately came home, screaming at me. I was terrified. I had never felt so awful before. My mother was screaming, crying and generally being hysterically angry. Nor my brother or my father defended me. I had to tell them that I wasn't gay to calm her down. I didn't know what to do. The next day she said to me, "We don't mind if you're gay," to try and get me to admit it, to which I didn't, and proceeded with more screaming and abuse. This was in 2013, things eventually settled down, but every time I went home I was questioned and interrogated about it. But I did not feel comfortable talking about it at all. Between 2013 and 2016, I was told the following things by her. "Can't have a gay son. You are no son of mine. If I knew you were gay I would never have had you. I will never accept it. You are the reason me and your father have no friends. Because you're gay it's depressing, it's embarrassing." I cut contact for 4 months in 2016 because of it, but was eventually convinced by my father to talk to her and she apologized. However, the very next year, whilst I was very depressed and at one of my lowest points, she said again that she would never accept it. Last year, when I told them about my relationship, she said she did not want to know, and to keep it to myself, and that it was depressing and embarrassing. Recently, I went into a deep depression and was constantly being told I can't believe I have a son that's mentally ill and gay. Every time I get a text message or phone call from my parents I never want to answer or reply because all I can think of is the homophobia. I just can't forget about it, even though I've tried to explain it calmly over the years and try to wait it out for her to come around. It's been 8 years now, and I'm tired of it. Today I was accused of being disrespectful because I didn't reply to their texts. "What is your problem with us?" etc. I don't know what to do. I just feel like the bond has been broken and I just don't like them anymore. Any advice? Edit. I just want to add that apart from this, they have been very supportive of me in all other areas, which I guess makes it more confusing. A girl asked me on a date but I don't speak English very well and am worried that will be a problem. My name is Hanso Lim, 17-year-old. My mom, dad and sister and me moved to Australia in November of 2019. We didn't speak English well back then and we don't speak well today but better. A girl from school named Christine asked me to go on a date with her because I was shocked she did that. Normally boys are the ones asking girls out. I said yes and now I'm worried. As you can see, my English isn't good and I don't want to make this girl sad thinking I am better at English than I am. I don't know what to do at all. I asked my friends from back home and one of them told me to sign up for this forum, so I did.